Hello, I am Suzanne Spooner, and this is an official QHHT session segment. What's the very first thing that you noticed?
A set of broken rocks.
Oh, tell me more about those.
They're at odd angles. It looks like ruins of some kind or another. Like something had been there, and there's slabs of these, they kind of look granite. They're not really granite. They almost look like concrete, but I don't think they're concrete. So there's some kind of stone.
Okay.
And so there's rectangles of them, but then they're at an angle, and there are just piles of them around.
Many?
Well, I'm only looking off to my right, and I don't see anybody. It's just that there's this earth, and here's these slab stones. So, and they look, and like there's grass, and it's windy, and we're on a hill, and then there's these slab stones. That's all I remember.
Okay. Do they seem to stick out far from the ground?
Yeah, they stick out from the ground, taller than me, but they're at different angles. Some are straighter than others, but the ones that when I landed, they were more 45 degrees, I guess.
Okay.
And they're coming out of the ground. They look like ruins, but there's a pattern to them.
What is the pattern like that you notice?
Well, there's on the, starting from the one where I first saw it, it's at an angle, and then there's others that are like that are one after the other that are at an angle. And then there's a row behind them, and then it's almost like going to see the flowers again. But then it's like they're taller, but not at an angle.
Okay, and that best describes the pattern of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's probably more of them in arrangement, but then there's spaces in between in ground with short grass.
Okay, you're doing really good. And if you bring your focus closer to where you're at now, what do you notice close around you?
Not much more than the stones and the short grass.
Are you close to the stones then?
Yeah, they're right by. I mean, I could touch them.
Oh, nice. Okay.
I landed right next to one.
Next one.
So, what are the other ones around here? So there's a series of them in patterns, but I don't know what the pattern is.
Okay. Could you see the patterns as you're coming down?
I wasn't really looking.
Okay.
I was still in the cloud.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries. No, it's fine. Okay. You're doing really good.
So,
go ahead.
Go ahead. That's just exploring.
So let's do this. Let's bring your focus to yourself there. When you look down, do you see your feet?
Yeah.
And do you have anything on your feet?
Some kind of shoes. They're kind of rough. They look kind of like Mary Jane's, but they're obviously kind of rough and leather. So I have leather shoes on. They're short.
And what color are they?
Tan.
Okay. And as you move up the body, what do you wear on the body?
Got a dress on.
And what does the dress look like?
It's like a skirt. With an apron kind of thing over it. So it's a flounce, a big skirt, and then the apron ties around it. It goes over my shoulders and ties in the back.
What color's your dress?
Doesn't look like much of a color. It's like browns and white. It's got a white. The apron part's white, and I have sleeves, puffy sleeves, and they're white.
Nice. Does the dress go down by your ankles?
Yeah, it goes mid calf, I don't have any socks on.
Okay, you're doing really good. Do you notice any jewelry or ornamentation on your body?
No. No jewelry.
And do you carry anything in your hands?
No.
Do you wear anything on your head?
I have kind of a scarf-like thing that ties over my hair. That's interesting. So it's like wearing a bandana, but it's got a little bit of a brim, and then it ties underneath my hair.
Perfect. Does it have a significance of any sort that you can think of?
No, that it's windy there, and I suppose it's to help for. It's maybe customary to wear a hat like that.
Okay.
In the wind, so that otherwise your hair would fly all over the place. And it's always windy apparently on this hill.
Okay. You're doing really good. And the body feels more female than male?
Yeah.
Young or old?
Younger than I am now. Let's see, 30s.
And does the body feel healthy or not?
Healthy.
And how do you spend your time? What do you do during the days?
That's a good thing. Well, I'm there on that hill, so I think I have something to do with it. It would seem to me that I live with a group of people. That's what comes to me. And we live further down the hill in a village. And I think we do rituals on that hill with those stones.
Okay. Perfect. And do you get a sense of what the rituals are like?
There's movement and chanting and patterns and time, light at different times of day and seasons.
Perfect.
And so there's unique movements and patterns that have to be done to coordinate with the light.
Sounds pretty intricate.
Everybody has a part in that, and so it takes multiple participants to enact the dance.
And what would you say is your specialty? What do you do well with all of that?
I understand the pattern for the dance and the light.
Tell me more about that.
That's what I knew you were going to ask me that. I knew it. I was like, so when there's a certain seasons, we have to, there's a preparation for the changes. And so there's light that comes through at certain times of the year, and that comes from outside of where we are. And we have to prepare how do we prepare it? And it's like, so as we dance and go in and out of the stones, we're preparing a field to receive the light.
Oh, nice. Can you tell me more about that?
How we would prepare the field. So it is like lines in a grid, but it has intricate patterns, and so different people have different energy that are in the group, and so with their sounds, they're calling on, what would you call it, waveforms. And so they have a color. So by making their sounds and where they're at in the grid, then they make their sound and the color vibrates, and then it helps fill out their part of the pattern. And so it's like a flower or a mosaic. And then from that, then the light connects from the entire pattern connects, and then it benefits the area, the people of the region or the world. Like it's part of making a bigger connection.
Nice. How does
like a mandala type thing.
Okay. And do you get an understanding of how it affects others?
Not entirely in terms of the others. understand how the mosaic works to make sure that it lights up. It's mostly organization, but as the light shines through the mosaic, it allows others to be well and for harmony and the plants to grow and food, well-being amongst everyone so that people can grow and develop. I think and to receive any guests that we would have.
Do you get a sense of how you and your group obtained this knowledge?
It came from people who visit, and so as we create the pattern for them, then they can visit, and then we all benefit by the energy of the mosaic.
And describe to me the people that visit. What are they like?
They look like light, and so they are like light beings that talk, like beings that talk. So they don't have much form. They mostly come through the light and look like shimmers, and then they communicate a message to us. And so as we do that, then why does that benefit us? It's exciting to do because it feels good. That's the short answer. And I think it's interesting to have a mosaic and then have light appear through making light and sound, and then having life be benefacted, everyone life flourishes under that influence. So it's like doing, how would you say it? It's like the sun rising in the morning and how it benefits life, and the flowers can grow and because they get chlorophyll. But in this sense, it has it's like feeding the world that we live on. And so it's part of keeping that so that we can all grow and be alive.
Beautiful. And so are the mosaics different for the different seasons, or are there other reasons why a mosaic would be different from another?
Possibly for a different purpose. I suppose they have different colors. There's different colors and different patterns. I think different times of the year or different days have different patterns because of purposes, maybe.
Nice.
Maybe it's the passage of time, and so there's, since we have a day, and any new day, something's going to be different in the arrangement of things, so it honors the arrangement of the day.
Do all the people that live in your village
Dance?
Yeah, and work with that energy field?
I think so. It looks to me like there are, because I don't see anybody outside of there that wouldn't do that, because it benefits us all. So it's like getting, it's part of our life.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
Kind of like some people do farming, and our community would do this. It's to
Is there something
benefit
that you
the-
call that work that you do? Is there a name to it?
No, a name comes to mind.
Okay. Just curious.
It's sacred. Sacred dance is the word that we use just right now, but it is. There's a dance and a chant. And there's light. It is like a prayer.
Nice. Can you walk me through what happens in each, or just pick one that you love and just from beginning to end what it's like?
The dance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have to make certain sounds, so then, and it's a lot like Sanskrit in that sense. So, but people are making sounds and they visualize, say they're all blues, and one section they're blues, and so as they emit their tone for the blues, then that part fills out, and so there's people in a different pattern. So, they're still circular, and then there are circles within the circles, but then the stones are not evenly placed. So they go somewhere over here and somewhere over on the other side, so they're not evenly alternating, and they have different shapes. So you move in and out of them. So some people are moving around, and some people are moving in a triangular way, and some people are moving kind of in a V-shaped pattern because some of the stones have hollows. And so you would, as you do that, then you're chanting your tones, and then the colors get emitted. And so as you go around the circle, then everybody's doing a different type of variation on that. It would be difficult to do all at once as one person. And so that's how, so we're all bonded by that, so that everybody's strengthened, because you can't lose one part. And you'd have to train somebody to do a new one. So people start learning from the time they're children and participated in the dance.
Nice. Can you demonstrate a little bit of the chanting that you might do?
The only sound that ever comes through to me is Om right now. So we're going to have to stop that. And singing isn't really good right now. Let's see. Some do like high-pitched sounds like ah, and so they're in different frequencies. So each one knows their frequency, and so then it's a harmonic, and then that's part of the patterning is different harmonic frequencies. That's the only sound I gave you. And so there's a variety of sounds that could be made doing that.
Oh, it sounds beautiful. Okay, anything else about what's going on around you right then that you want to mention?
The idea of patterning and in cooperation with doing patterns in groups helps others. And so I think as people might learn to do that in a collective sense, that might be, that's a nature practice, and I don't think it came from around here. Although it makes me think of some people that lived in Ireland a long time ago.
Okay, and it's the light peoples, or the
light beings that came into Ireland.
Okay.
Because that's the area that it comes to my mind, that there was people that lived here, that came here a long, long time ago and did that type of dance and chanting.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Let's do this. Let's leave that scene you're looking at. Let's drift and float to where it is you eat and sleep at in that time that you're viewing. Drifting and floating to where you eat and sleep at, and now you're there. And describe for me what that's like.
It's a real simple hut. It's out of woven grasses. And then we have some benches and straw to lay on and cloth. So, and then we have a center fire. They're kind of rounded. Actually, they are rounded. They're rounded like without flat walls, and so everything's in a border. And then there's a fire in the center, but we sleep around the edge.
Sleep around the edge, okay. So does one hut
and sit there.
Sleep quite a few people, or just like
you can have some with 4. Some people sleep in 4, and they're just on their sides, and you kind of eat and. Well, we eat in the center, out around the center, and then we sleep and can sit in each of our own individual fire pit areas. So they have a fire in the center, and then a shelter around it.
Nice. Okay. And the hut that you're in, do you share that with others?
Yes, 2 other people.
And what are they like?
There's a young man. And he's my friend, and another girl. I think she was my sister, or is my sister. Not was my sister. She's my sister and our friend.
Okay. And when you go eat, you eat communally in a...
We eat communally with everybody out in a center area. And I see mostly like gatherings of people that sit on benches and then food. And so it's mostly grains and things that we've grown. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And we eat it out of a bowl. It's simple.
Nice. And how do the men dress there? What are they like?
They wear not long pants, but the girls all pretty much wear the, it's kind of like a shift or a skirt type things, gathered skirts and aprons and kind of a tunic top. And they have tunic tops, and then they have pants, simple pants, and we all wear similar shoes.
Okay, very good. Anything else going on there that you notice that you want to mention?
It's interesting. It's hard to get really clear on all of them. It's like they fade. They fade in and out. They're there, and we gather around, and we're meditative. And there's a lot of these fires. We have to keep the fires burning all the time. And then we have different times a day that we rest there, and then we go and then we do our dance, and we rest. So everything is conversational about that. But it makes me think about the people who make the food. So people bring us food, and we eat the food, but it's always simple. And then we spend our entire life be devoted to preparing and then doing the dance.
So is it people in your community that bring the food, or is it people outside of your community?
I think it's people outside the community that bring the food.
Oh, that's interesting.
But it's grown, and so, because I don't ever see anybody actually make the food, it's just there all the time. So, and we have our bowls of food and we eat it, and then we return to either our meditation and our planning, or we do our dance ritual. Mm-hmm. So,
does there seem to be a hierarchy of people within your group, or?
There's elders. So people of different ages are in this group, and there's men and women. So everyone looks like, well, I could say that the elders seem more, maybe they're more experienced with doing that, and the younger people need education on how to do it. So there's still that. So there's teachers.
Okay.
They act like teachers.
Very good. All right. And you just learn what you do as you grow up within this community?
That's right.
Okay. Beautiful. Well, let's do this. Let's leave that scene you're looking at. Let's drift and float to an important day in that life, a day when something important is happening, and now you're there. And now what do you notice?
Just being in my place. And I'm just sitting in front of the fire on my blanket.
And what are you thinking about while you do that?
Then I'm going to leave.
Oh, tell me more about that.
So it seems like that's all there is to do, is to stare at this fire and breathe, and that somehow I'm going to leave through all that and just not be there. That's kind of how my mind is going, that it's time to stop. So I'm waiting for that to happen as I slowly stop breathing while I look at the fire.
And tell me more as that happens, what happens with you?
I just let go and I drift away from that body. And I pass out through the roof through the wall of the tent and out into the sky.
Does it feel like that's the last day of that physical existence?
Yes.
Okay. And as you're drifting away, what do you think about?
That I'm glad that's done.
Oh.
Because you can't leave it until you do. And so it was a lot of the same thing all the time.
The dancing and
The dancing and the people and the arrangement of life. The dance was unique and it was the same thing all the time, and I wanted to know more about the beings that came through the light and what happens if we don't do the dance. So if you ask too many questions, it's troublesome. So you have to keep doing the same thing.
And you thought you could learn more if you leave the body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, that's enough.
Well, now, whatever has happened has happened. You've left the body. And as you look back on that life, what were some of the lessons that you learned?
About discipline and being a part of a group, and that everybody has a part to play, and that each one was important for their part. And so we were kind and good to one another. And that wasn't a good reason to leave. It was just that there's more to understand.
Okay. And every life has a purpose. What would you say was the purpose of that life?
To devote one's life to a fashion that benefits others.
Say that one more time.
To devote one's life to a fashion or a method that benefits others as a group of people, not just individuals. So it's the whole group benefits others.
Do you feel that you were successful in that?
Yes.
Okay. And as you look back over that very interesting life, is there anything else important that you want to share about?
Nobody's doing anything like that right now in the world. And I think it's like lost knowledge or something, that all those people left and that isn't happening anymore.
Okay. Now that you're back on the other side, the spirit side, take a look around and describe for me what that is like.
It's like floating through colored areas of like pinks and oranges and maybe like colored clouds or something like that. And then people appear and scenes appear.
Oh.
But it's always been, you can just move as you do, as you think, I guess, maybe move as you think.
And how do you perceive yourself there?
Like a being I'm sitting cross-legged, and then I just move around as I just float around sitting cross-legged.
And the other people and scenes that you see, can you describe what those are like?
They mostly look pastel, so it's like seeing people in their whatever they're doing, standing or visiting, which makes me makes me have a memory of people in different dimensions, or different, like people that are on Earth, or people that are dreaming, or people that are in the afterlife. Have a sense of continuity, but they have a different density to them. So you can see the different densities of where people are. Some have different light coming from them.
So like somebody who is dreaming would look different than...
Someone who is dreaming tends to have more of a shell around them, and as they move, and they're not seeing, you can tell that they don't see very well. It's kind of like being blind a little bit, but they're in their shell, so they're kind of like a moving shell of an individual that's in a boundary. Mm-hmm. And then, but people that are awake are definitely cut off and don't see the others. And then when you're not in your shell in a dream, and then you're loose, say you're awake to that, then you can see the others.
And when you've left a body, and that's different as well, different density?
Yeah, so you just have more mobility and a broader vision. And there's more, less density, so it's like solid things you could pass through, and it's still more, you still look like a person, just not, it's just more ghostly, I suppose.
Okay, very good. Well, now that you're there, do you get a sense of what you'll be doing?
Nope. I'm sorry, I don't have a sense of what I'm doing.
That's okay.
As we're floating around and be like, I suppose it would be to meet up with some people and find out what that is.
Do you decide to do that?
So there's a golden light. That was what came to me all of a sudden. So there's a golden light, and I'm sitting in a light on what looks like a very angular kind of it's like a metal chair, but it's very flat, like that, and then a flat surface at the back, and then a straight down. So it doesn't have legs. It's more like a carved, golden looking metal. And so I'm sitting on it, and I'm in this light beam, and it's bright. And this is confusing because I'm not really sure what's supposed to happen.
So
Maybe it's like being reconditioned in a sort of way, something from, because the last where I came from was the arrangement of its patterns leaves its experience, and so this one, it's like getting reconditioned, and so I wonder what that light does.
What do you notice about that?
It feels warm and like it goes through me, and so like I'm being cleansed with it.
And how does that feel?
It feels soft and elevating. There's like it's like a form of relaxation, and so anything where you feel conflict or separation is being wiped away, and so you just have your feeling of joy. Just having that feeling of joy, just sitting there on this chair in the light, and it shines. It's like sitting in the sunshine, and then it goes all through you, and then everything just lights up. Literally becomes part of that light.
And then what happens?
It's ecstasy. So what would happen after that? It's a good thing to know about as a method to release conflict, because all it does is just bring you into that sense of ecstasy and joy as being one with the light, and you don't have to be a separate part cultivating the light. You can become part of the light and be in the light, and that's what I think was forgotten. It's one thing to do the dance and the chanting where we came from, and then to leave that, and everything was cultivated. The fires were cultivated in the light, in the pattern, but this is being in the light, and so I like that part, and so it feels like freedom. So that would be something to be in for a while. Nice. And what do you call it? It's kind of like getting reset.
Kind of reset.
Reset your combinations. That's what it feels like sitting there.
Nice. And so when you're done with that experience, then what do you do?
I have a feeling it is get reborn.
Go into another life?
Go into another life.
Do you get a sense of how that lifetime is picked for you? Do you do that?
in that sense, in this moment, I want to say I think I pick, but it feels like from the light, it just moves into another life being. And so maybe it's paying attention to it from sitting there. That's a possibility. So as I sit there, then it is like another life. The vision of another life comes to me while I'm sitting in that light. And I'm still sitting in that light as I move into that vision.
And what is the vision?
So it's like at the same time, there's the light self sitting on in that light. And I don't know why it wants to be on this gold chair, but anyway, it's very modern looking. And it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. It doesn't make you think of objects in the afterlife. But then but you have to visualize the life. So right now it's just visualizing a baby and it's being born. And then and being held. And I'm still sitting in the light. So my awareness is in the light, but I can see this baby being born. I don't think it's me. And you can see a family in their house. But I don't know why.
Okay. Very, very good. Thank you for all of that. All right. Anything else about where you're at right now that you notice that you want to talk about?
I think that's how things are planned per se.
Tell me
It's
more.
from the vision, a vision that takes place, and so then you can. It's like testing, or maybe you're facilitating others, and then as the deeper you go into facilitating others, then you become it with your attention. And so that way you participate in experience, a variety of experiences. So then it's like a merging.
Very nice, very good. Do you get a sense from that lifetime where you were doing the patterns with the dancing, what that energy field did even after you and the others were gone? Did it affect other things farther into the future at that time?
I think it was the ley lines that started out across that part of the world on the earth.
Can you tell me more about that?
Because that's what I see as it leaves, and I see the people leave, and it's like a flower or lotus flower in the pattern. And so, but it's on the earth, and then those lines of light go out from it into the different grids around the earth. So my guess is that was a energy receiving point that fed the earth. And it was being developed.
Being developed?
At that time.
Okay. Anything else about that you want to mention?
No.
Okay, you're doing so good. You showed her this very interesting lifetime where she was creating patterns of energy with her group. Why was it important to show her that life?
That there's multiple layers. There's the visioning of the light, sitting in the light, and visioning. The pattern happens because everybody has patterns with tones. And so there's sound vibrations with those, and those people agreed to be part of helping the earth in her development. So Gaia and that planet and the beings that were developing with earth needed that. And so it's part of the idea of, what do you want to call it? It'd be like the chakras and the lines of light. And so there's lines of light, and there's tones and movements that go together. And that part of the grid line patterns will be relevant to things doing with memories and bodies and beings in their lives.
Nice. And what area of the planet was that at?
Ireland,
Okay. And do you get a sense of the time period?
many millions of years ago.
Okay. And were others doing similar things on other parts of the planet as well?
It would make sense that they did. They did. There was galactic beings that were helping the planet, and there were other energy spots like this.
And from your perspective, tell us more about the galactic beings. She said they had like a light body.
They appeared by light bodies, and were help. I would say they were the creators of Earth life, and in its preparation for people to live on.
Okay. And the ley lines that she and her group are helping establish, are those still existent even today?
Yes.
Nice. And if she were to visit that area in Ireland, would she feel a recognition or an energy that's familiar?
Yeah, it's still there.
And the
Except you can't see anything, but the hill's still there.
The hill's still there. What about the stones? Can you tell us more about those?
Those stones were put there by the aliens.
By
and
the
so,
aliens?
by the Galactian beings, yes.
Okay.
And I think they had it as a purpose for the pattern. And so it was like a template. That would be it. It's a template. And so it required multiple layers to fill out that template. But that was like a grid itself. And so from that arrangement of the grid, then it allowed the other parts to connect.
And the dancing and the chanting?
That was all part of filling in the grid, of enlivening the grid, you might say.
Nice. Do you have a feeling of where in Ireland that might have been?
I haven't been. Do I know in Ireland?
Or what area?
It would be in the northern part of Ireland.
Okay.
Be kind of almost to Scotland, across the Skye area where they join.
Okay. Just curious. Thank you for that. And so how does that lifetime tie into her current life?
How does that lifetime tie into that in the current life?
Mm-hmm.
I think memories of some of those sounds and the dancing. I think to read more about the people who lived in Ireland, because she hasn't read anything about people who lived in Ireland much. And so look that up. That'd be something to read. There's information there about to think about the ley lines and the patterns of energy and how they fit together, and try and use one's insight to see that.
Okay, so this will be kind of new information for her, it sounds like.
It's new information to try and get in alignment with that. It's a new concept.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Okay. All right. Anything else about that lifetime that you want her to know more about?
That you can chant silently and still have an effect.
Tell
And
us.
that as people work together to create sounds, it's all in resonance. So even if you didn't make a peep and you have the resonance established and you can feel the resonance internally, then the resonance is occurring. So there's always a question of how do you know whether you're in tune or in resonant harmony.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can feel it and it creates a vibration that feels harmonious, and so you know you're in resonant, you'll get a positive feedback from that where you're in resonance. And so whether you think you're in you can think it, hear it silently, and it'll still be occurring. And so it sends out waves of its frequency.
And so is there a particular chant that is most beneficial for her?
She's exploring those chants, and I think the right one will come to her. She'll know it when she sees it. There's a variety for different purposes, and some confusion has started to take place between different chants, and how and when to do them. So there's a lot of options. Right now, the ones would be actually, so the Sanskrit mantras have good chants in them, and then do those, and those will connect and open up energy. Like the Gayatri mantra goes through each of the chakras, and so you resonate to the root chakra and the midsection and the solar plexus area and the heart and the throat and each in the 6th and the 7th, and so each of them opens up, and so as you resonate, then they open up. But one of the things that'll happen through practice of those tones will be through opening through them would be the other colors will open up. So it's just a preparation still.
Do you think she'll retain or could receive that memory again of how she was
Doing those patterns?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's a dream, and then just stick with the dream and walk it and see it, and then develop the framework to write it down. It's focus. Just stay focused on it.
Nice. Okay.
And the longer you stay focused on it, the more it will fill in.
Okay. Well, I think she'll be pretty excited about this new information. It sounds like a beautiful life she lived there. And anything about her choosing to exit the way that she did or when she did from that life?
I think it was old age or just a sense of time. Things, they're not going to live in, the beings don't live in that lifetime. It seems like a long time, but they have lives that last a long time doing that, and then it's time for them to leave. And so each one chooses to leave as they want, and they exit themselves just that way. They don't die of disease. They don't kill each other. They just exit. They just quietly leave. They just transition out of their body, and then their role is done. And there's always going to be enough other beings that take their place until that's no longer needed.
Has she had other lifetimes where she worked with the energy fields of this planet or other ones?
Yes. She sees it as spinning light. It's like having a big rope. I don't know where this one comes from. It was a different kind of world. And so it's like lassoing the energy, just you can just send it out like a rope or a wand, and it just goes, and then it winds around. And so there's a lot of energy directing through that.
Nice. Okay. Very good. Thank you.